Hello and welcome back to my channel. I have a new obsession and it is the Hunger Games. If you watched my last video, I talked a little bit about the Hunger Games. Since reading the first Hunger Games book, I have been wanting to finish the rest of the series. I did actually already start the second book, which is Catching Fire, and I am loving it so far. It is so hard to put it down. Like, I have to force myself to, because obviously there are other things that need to be done, other responsibilities, but I wish I could just sit and read this book all day, because I would, and it is so good. I've heard of Hunger Games a lot as like a kid especially, and I knew a lot of people liked the Hunger Games, but I never knew what it was about and it never interested me. But at the beginning of this year, when I was thinking about what books I wanted to read for this year, I thought, why not try out the Hunger Games and see what I think about it? And so it has always been on the back of my mind since the beginning of this year. And then I saw this beautiful deluxe edition when I was shopping, and I really wanted these books, but I didn't buy them because I didn't know if I would like them or not. And my sweet husband actually surprised me with these books and bought them for me, which was like the sweetest thing ever, and I'm so glad that he did, because I am now in love with this series. So after that, I went to visit my family. If you don't know, that my family lives an hour and a half away, so I see them like once a month-ish, and so whenever I go, I usually stay for about a week, because that's the only time I get to see them for a month, and I want to make the most out of my time as possible. And so I did stay with my family for a whole week, and I took one book. Well, I took multiple books, but only one book of the Hunger Games series. I think I had my sisters like go look through all the books that I brought and like pick one, and they ended up picking the Hunger Games for me. And so I started reading it, immediately was hooked, immediately loved it, could not stop reading it, and I was so disappointed that I didn't bring the rest of the series to read. So as soon as I got home, I was already in the middle of another book, because after I read Hunger Games, I was still reading while I was with my family. So I had to finish those books first before starting Catching Fire, so I could put all of my attention and focus on Catching Fire. And so once I finished those two books, and I talked about them in my 5-star video, so you can watch that if you want to know more about those books. They were Powerless and The Wishing Game, by the way. So I started Catching Fire. I'm like 75% done, maybe. I'm not exactly sure, and I haven't checked, but I am on part 3 of the book, and it is so good. It's like I saw what happens, like I saw it coming. I didn't know how, and now that I do know how, it like makes sense and stuff, but like I kind of saw it coming, and I'm so excited. And yeah, it's just so good. And if you haven't read The Hunger Games, I definitely recommend it, because it is, like, I knew it was hyped up, and I think it is properly hyped up. Like, it is worth the hype. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do like a little reading vlog type video of me reading the rest of the series. I have already read the first book, so good, and then I am now reading the second book, and it is also so good. I'm almost done with it. I'm going to try to finish it today, because I do want to read the rest of the series before the week is over. There's also a lot of other books that I want to read as well, so, but I don't know if I will try to read all of this series just today. I mean, like, just this week, or if I'm going to space it out. I do want to enjoy it and not just rush through it all and then it be over, because it is such a good experience. I'm loving the experience, and I'm going to be so sad when it is over. And so I don't want to just rush through and read it, but at the same time, I do want to know what happens. And the 5th book, which is Haymick, I'm not going to say his name properly, but he is the mentor. He won the games before, and the new book, which I think is called Sunrise at the Reaping, or On the Reaping, something like that. That book is about him and his story. So that's so exciting to me. I can't wait to read that book. So I also want to get through the other books so that I can get to that book, because it comes out really soon. Like, I think it comes out next week. Maybe it's already out by the time this video is posted. I don't know. But I'm so excited to read it. I'm so excited to finish the series. And so I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm just going to read. have been reading this book. I'm on chapter 26, and I cannot believe what's happening in this book, first of all. Like, it is just crazy, and I have 2 chapters left, and I don't see an ending in sight. So that's really making me nervous. I have no idea what to expect right now, but it's getting crazy, and I can't wait to see what happens. I'm assuming that this is going to be a huge cliffhanger that you will not figure out until the next book. If you have not read The Hunger Games before, I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free, but if you are worried that you might get even a little bit spoiled and you just want to go into The Hunger Games not knowing, not having even a little bit of spoiler, because this book, what I can say, could potentially spoil the first Hunger Games book. If you've never read any of the Hunger Games books, but you're planning on it, I would suggest to click off until you do read those books, because I don't want to potentially spoil something. That being said, I am going to try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. If you want to know some more of my thoughts on book 1, I do talk about it in a different video. I will have it linked in the description, as well as a little thing on one of these sides of the video. I don't remember which side it's on, but I will have a little link. This is book 2 in the series, Catching Fire, and basically, without giving spoilers, what's going on right now in the book is it is the 75th Hunger Games, and for each quarter of the Hunger Games they do something special, and I won't tell you what this special thing is, but they do something special. So we are getting down to just a few people being left. The people who are alive are kind of formed an ally group, but we're getting down to just a few people left, and soon this ally is not going to be able to be a thing anymore, obviously, because only one person can survive. I don't want any of these people to die, so I'm like so curious as how it's going to end, because like obviously these Hunger Games cannot keep going on forever, and they need to do something to stop it. So what are they going to do? What is going to happen? I do not know. But we only have 2 chapters left, like I was saying, and I'm really curious as to what in the world is going to happen. So I'm just going to film my reaction for you and hope that my camera does not die. Let's continue reading. We're almost done. I'm so excited. What did I just read? Hello, it is a few days later. You did see me finish Catching Fire, and it was so good. The ending was such a surprise to me. I was not expecting that at all, and it was like the biggest cliffhanger in existence. So I immediately went into the next book, which is Mockingjay, and I'm almost done with it. Let me look on Goodreads and see exactly how far done I am. I am 77% done with Mockingjay as well. So we are almost done at finishing this series in this video, which is a little bit sad, but at the same time, today Sunrise at the Reaping comes out, which is the newest Hunger Games book, and I literally cannot wait to read it. I am so jealous of everyone who's posting about it on Instagram right now. I really wish I could just like read it, but I mean I doubt that it will give much spoilers for what's happening now, since it is going back into Hammock's story. But I cannot wait to read it. I'm so excited to read it. So I'm so excited to be finishing up this series. But it is a little bit bittersweet because this is my first time reading it, and I'm not going to ever be able to experience these feelings again. Here is Catching Fire. I think I like this one better than the actual Hunger Games book. I don't know. I liked them both a lot. And at the end, I was super confused as to what just happened. Like, I was like, what? Like, I think it caught me by surprise so much that I was like, is that what actually happened, what I think, or did I miss something, or I don't know. But anyway, so I went straight into Mockingjay. I got to figure out a little bit more of what happened, and it was exactly what I thought it was. And right now a lot is going on in this book. It is very crazy. It is very political, very a lot of things. And so it does go over my head a lot. I do find myself reading it and like, I have no idea what I just read, but let me just continue on. Because a lot of times if I don't understand something, I will reread it. But with this book, I just move on. I'll understand it in a little bit. That's kind of how I've taken this book, and it's worked for me. It is taking me a while to read. Like, this one is much harder to read than the other two for sure. It still is addicting. Like, at the end of the chapter, you do want to read more because the writing is so good that makes you just want to keep reading it over and over again. Like, it's just so addicting in that way. And this book still has that, but the chapters seem to be a little bit longer, and it does seem to have a lot more detail with things that I really don't understand what's going on. So I do kind of like just read it and I'm like, I don't know what I just read, but I'm just going to continue on. But it is good. I am enjoying it. I'm just going to read this today. It is a chill reading day. I might even start Ballad of the Songbird or something like that. I don't know what that book's about, and I am scared to look because I don't want to get spoiled for the other three. I think by now it's probably okay if I look, but I still am not going to until I finish Mockingjay. But yeah, so I might end up reading that in this video too. I'm not sure. It's just a cozy reading day. It's kind of like cloudy, maybe will be rainy eventually outside, dark. It is still early, so I don't know, but it has been colder and very rainy lately. I love summer. I love hot weather, and I loved the warmth the last week where I got to like sit out on my back porch and read. It's been great. And so now it's like, oh yeah, I need to get back into the wear a sweater, wear your blanket, and cuddle up on the couch, because that's fun too. So that's what this day is going to be. It's just going to be cozy. I'm going to make some tea and read, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It is very possible that I have cookie all over my face, and if I do, I'm sorry, but what did I just read? So I just finished the chapter before last, and I wish I would have gotten my reaction to what I just read, because what? That's it. That's my reaction. All right, last chapter. Let's see what happens. Hello again. I have finished the Mockingjay. I took some time to think over my thoughts and to come up with a little review. I have also been crocheting, so I crocheted some book squares for these 3 books that I read. So now I can finally talk about it. I did not read, let me go get the other book. I did not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes yet. I don't even know what this one's about. On the back of this book it says, ambition will fuel him, competition will drive him, but power has its price. So maybe this is like Snow, President Snow's point of view in this book. I don't know. I didn't read anything about it. It is very thick, so it would make sense if it goes like over all 3 of the books and wraps it up into one maybe, or I don't know if it has backstory. I really don't know anything about this book, but I'm not going to read this book in this video. I'll probably plan to read this book still sometime this month. But there are other things that I want to read. And after reading Mockingjay, I do feel like I do need to take a little break from the Hunger Games universe. And I will be talking more about that right now as I talk about my thoughts on Mockingjay. So here is the book. It is so beautiful. This one's my favorite cover. My favorite color is pink, and so this cover just really looks the most beautiful to me because it has the pink and the purple, and I loved making my square to match the cover as best as I could. I didn't have the exact colors, but I did the best I could. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about, is that book, Mockingjay. And once again, this is going to be spoiler free. I will not give spoilers as I give my review, but I think that you definitely should read The Hunger Games if you haven't before. I really do enjoy this series. I loved The Hunger Games and immediately fell in love. The covers are what made me want to buy them, make me want to read them. But The story is just really good. It hooked me immediately and it was just so easy to read. It was addicting where every time I turned the page, like I could not stop reading it. And that was also true of Catching Fire. Both books were really good and I don't know if I could actually pick which one I liked better because there's things with both books that I liked more than the other. And I mean, Hunger Games is just the original. I usually am someone who usually loves like the original first book the best, but I don't know. Catching Fire does give Hunger Games a run for its money. It is really good. I enjoyed both of those books a lot. Needless to say, I was very excited to start Mockingjay. It was really good. I really did enjoy it the whole time I was reading it. It was hard to put down. It still was like that addicting. I'll stop at the end of this chapter, but then the end of the chapter happens and like I can't stop because something else happened that like blew my mind and I need to know what happens next. But at the same time, it was harder to get into this book than the other two. And it just seemed to be going really slow. And I was okay with it. Honestly, the whole time I was reading it, I was like, yeah, this is a little bit more slow. It's not as action-packed as the first two books. The Hunger Games are very different than what was happening in the first and the second book. Without giving spoilers, that's what I'm going to say. It is a lot different, but still really good. So I was still enjoying it. But then it was closing in at the end. And just like Catching Fire, it was closing in at the end and I was like, how is this going to end? Because there's 2 chapters left and there's no closure. And obviously it's a series. You're not going to get that closure at the end of the second book of a series. This is the last book in the series. So this is where we get our closure finally. The epilogue I loved. I was reading through other people's reviews to see what they thought of this book. And depending on what team you are, Team Gale or Team Peeta, or Team Katniss needs to be alone, which I was starting to be a little bit at the end. Depending on what team you are is probably depends on if you are happy or not in the ending. That's all I will say. And so the epilogue was cute. I did enjoy it. But right before that, like everything that leads to her choosing the person that she chooses is just, it makes no sense. You don't get to see it. And it makes me really sad for the other person, the way that they wrote that person, the ending of that person. Like, it would have been better if that person had just died, or if that person, I don't know, would have somehow had some different closure than the way that it was written. I kind of saw this problem throughout the book, even with Katniss. Like, she was written in a very different way, and it makes sense why. I don't want to give spoilers, so like I can't really say why, but it makes sense why, because of her role in the book. And then also, like, with her love triangle situation, it did soften her a little bit. It did weaken her a little bit because now she has these 2 guys to think about. But I feel like it lost a lot of her original focus and goal, which was to take care of her family. It started being more about these 2 guys that she loved and these 2 guys that she cannot choose between. And then also Peeta. I love Peeta, you know that probably. I think I've said that in this video. If not, then I have to say I love Peeta. And this book did not do him justice. There's a lot of reasons why, and I once again understand why he was written in the way that he was written, but I do not like the change of his character. I do not like that he basically was missing the whole book because the guy who was there was not him. And I mean, I don't mean that literally, but like, if you read it, you would understand. That was very sad to me, that the characters that I grew to love and that I was obsessed with weren't the same people when they were written in this book. And the games were not the same as they were in the other 2 books. And I mean, like, the games need to end. And so I was hoping for like a great resolve to these games ending. And I just feel like we didn't really get that with Mockingjay. That's just my opinion though. You might have a different one and that's okay, but that was just my opinion. And I just really was upset over that ending. And I'm very passionate about my upsetness because I loved the series and I'm really let down by that ending. I am still a huge Hunger Games fan. I will probably read this series multiple times. I can't wait to introduce this series to my future kids. Probably not really early in their childhood because there are some triggering things that happen. And, you know, kids that are being killed in these games, like, there are some, you know, more intense themes that are happening in this book. But like, teenage age, introducing the Hunger Games to my kids, I think will be great. I wish I would have read Hunger Games as a teenager. I think I would have been obsessed with it then. But yeah, I still am obsessed with the series, especially the first 2 books. Like, I'm sure I'm still going to be talking about the Hunger Games all throughout the year. Whenever it is the end of the year and I do my favorite books of the year, I'm sure those will be on the top of the list. It is really good. I really did enjoy that series and I still am obsessed with it 100%. I just wish the ending was a little bit different than what it was. And I mean, I feel like that's okay, that's understandable, and we can still be friends even if you disagree with me on that. Today, actually, Sunrise on the Reaping comes out, which is Hammock's story. I've said that a few times, but I am really excited to read that book and to see what happens more with his story. It does talk about it a little bit in Catching Fire. They do talk a little bit about Hammock's story and like what happened and what he endured in the 50th games. But I'm so excited to like actually see him in action and see what happens and eventually watch that movie. I don't know if that one already, if there already is a movie for that or if that movie is going to come out after the book. I hope there will eventually be a movie on that. I did watch the regular Hunger Games movie and I watched it with my siblings because I really wanted them to know what was going on in the Hunger Games and they didn't want to read the book, so I was like, okay, well, we're going to watch the movie together. And so before I read the rest of the series, we watched the first one. And I did like it a lot, and I think they liked it a lot, but it was to me, very different than the book in ways. I did not like the way they portrayed Katniss and her relationship with Peeta versus Gale, because I feel like they were making Gale more special and like she was going to choose him. Just to me, the vibes were not giving the vibes that they were giving in the book. Like in the book, I was falling in love with Peeta so hard, and like him and Katniss were so cute, and I feel like the movie wasn't portraying that as well as the book did. But we'll see whenever I watch the other movies. I don't know which movies are out, and I do know that Mockingjay I think has 2 parts to the movie, 2 different movies for it. So like I'm just excited to watch them whenever I see my family again and to see if maybe I prefer the movies over the book when it comes to Mockingjay maybe, or like I don't know. I'm just excited. I love the series and I still am a huge fan. Even though I didn't care for Mockingjay that much, I still gave it 4 stars because I did enjoy reading the whole book. It was slower, but I still enjoyed it. Like I still wanted to know what happened and it was still really good. So that is my video on reading these books. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed filming it. I love the series. Like I said, if you've never read The Hunger Games, you definitely should. I recommend it 100% to anyone. Like, I did not think that this would be my type of book at all, but I still loved it. And so no matter what kind of reader you are, I feel like you can still enjoy this book series, and I definitely recommend it 100%. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope if you enjoyed it that you give it a thumbs up and that you subscribe to me. I have a lot of cool video ideas, especially reading other series that I've never tried before. I want to do Throne of Glass eventually, maybe Harry Potter series, and maybe some other ones that I just know are popular series that I've never tried before. I think that'll be fun, and I have a few other video ideas too, and not just book related either, because I know I have some people who are here for the books and some people who are here for just my lifestyle, and I'm just really excited for all the content that will be coming out in this coming year. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!